So just a few things. Planning Center, did everyone get the email about like getting that going? So obviously we're all scheduled out through September and October, so Planning Center won't kick in until November, but just be aware, it'll just kind of show up as an email that asks you to like click and block out dates that you can't do. And then hopefully, ideally, it'll make it easier. Right now it takes me hours to do the schedule because it's like all these little pieces and oh nope, that person said she can't do it. And I'll get the whole thing done and go back and check which days you guys said you couldn't do. And I'll be like, oh shoot, I accidentally scheduled Crystal for a day she said she couldn't do, you know, so this will be nice, hopefully, yes.
Will it also make it easier for like the cross? Like,
Yes.
can you see the other teams?
Yep.
Okay.
So it'll just be a race for me to do my schedule before.
There you go.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, it'll have those blocked out. So it should be really nice. It also, something that I think will be helpful is that it requires you, like, from what I understand, once I schedule you, it'll send you an email and you have to confirm, which is helpful for me. And that is something I wanted to talk about today too, is that just, you know, if we can just get in the habit of when I know sometimes my emails are long, but if you can just reply so I know you've seen it, so I know you know, and especially the weekly, every week I send out, hey, you're on the team for this coming Sunday. I'm going to request that you start replying, saw it, be there, or whatever, or hey, I'll be a little bit late, because it is really stressful to be here at 10:15 on a Sunday morning and have no volunteers. You know, like some of your volunteers aren't here, and then I'm like, you know. So yeah, exactly. So I think that will be helpful. So if you have any questions about Planning Center as we jump into it, feel free to shoot me a text. I'm sure we'll all figure it out together. But it seems like, at least on your end of just having a day, it should be pretty easy, from what I understand.
And that initial email does have, is there a little, I didn't open it, I'll be honest. So I need to open it and do something with it to
I think
just
so.
make sure I'm in the system.
Yeah, I
Okay.
think so. Yeah. Kim Bosco, if you see her, tell her a huge thank you, because she's the one who inputted everybody's information in there and what their roles are and everything, so it's great. Okay, so I already passed around the background checks. I'm also, while we're talking, gonna pass these around. I'm trying to work on, I really want you guys to know that I know I can sometimes be like, hey, we need volunteers for this, we need volunteers for this, we need volunteers, and I really don't want you to ever feel pressured to volunteer. I know, especially there's certain personalities, I think, that are like, oh no, if I don't volunteer, nobody else is going to volunteer, let me volunteer. I don't ever want anyone to feel pressure. So I'm going to start rephrasing things and say, we are doing this on this date. We would love to have you be a part of it. It's okay if you can't do it. Welcome, Mike, come join us. And then instead of planning this big, great thing and then needing all these volunteers, I'm going to like ask for volunteers in advance. And then if we only get 3 volunteers, we'll just have a smaller event, you know, and just try to plan that way. So I don't want you guys to feel pressure. But on that note, I am going to pass around a sign up. We're going to be doing our Fall Family Festival early this year. It will be October 8th. That way I can actually get pumpkins this year instead of having to get gourds because they're all sold out. Anyways, so I'm just going to pass this around. Fall Family Festival, it like, you know, help with food, help with games, crafts, face painting, any of that stuff. It'll be a Sunday evening on the 8th. And if you don't know right now, that's okay too. But if you know, yes, I'd like to help with that, feel free to put your name down. If you know kind of what area you want to do, you can sign up for that. I was going to say something along with that. We will have a meeting next week. Is Food and Fellowship Sunday. So during Food and Fellowship, with anyone who wants to actually help with planning it, you don't have to be there if you just like, yeah, I'll show up and run a game. But if you want to help plan it, we'll have a meeting next Sunday during Food and Fellowship. And then the other thing I'll pass around, I am still looking for Wednesday night help. I know it's hard because Wednesdays are in the middle of the week. Shout out to Debbie and Mike and Daniel for providing like almost every week last year. And I don't want that to happen again where people feel like they have to be there every week. That was kind of my vision last year, but it's a lot. So anyways, if you're available to help once a month, twice a month, literally, you could say once every 3 months and I'll take you. Feel free to sign up for that. I'll pass this way. Okay, those are my signups. So I sent you guys a digital copy of the updated volunteer guide. I didn't print one out for everyone because there's like slight adjustments from previous ones and I didn't want to waste all the paper, but I did print off 5. So if you want to just maybe like spread them around, pull it up on your phone, however you want to do it. We're not going to go through all this. Just wanted to hit on a few specific points. Sorry, glad you have one on Sam. All right. Actually, I maybe should have one myself. Okay. So, thank you for all being here. you guys might have noticed we're getting a lot more kids. I just went and counted. Last week was a low week as far as kids, and I went and counted the registration cards, and we still had like 25 kids. And I remember a time where it was like, oh my gosh, we got 30 kids this week. You know, it's kind of crazy, which is very exciting. But it does make it important, and even to what Jody was just talking about down there, just being on the same page about how we handle, how we have a consistent routine, how we make sure if a kid is struggling, how can we help them with that as we're seeing bigger numbers, as we're seeing kids that are maybe, coming from the community who maybe don't have all the structures that church families necessarily would. Guys, feel free to pull up a chair. I don't want you to all have to stand. Okay. Perfect. So anyway, so again, I'm not going to go through all this. I think most of you have been at a training before. If you're brand new, I know some of our nursery folks are brand new, so feel free to please read the whole thing on your own time, but we won't read through all of it right now. But you'll just kind of see our vision. We want to provide a safe and loving environment where children are pointed to Jesus in such a way that they're captivated by his love for them and inspired to know him, glorify him, and walk in his example of love. So that's big picture. We're not just a child care. We're not just here keeping the kids out of trouble. We really want them to know Jesus, and we want them to know, like Jody said, that we are safe adults that we can build relationships with. So you can see on the front there, make sure, again, kind of on the note of what Jody was saying, like how you're walking with Jesus is gonna play out to what the kids see as well. So a couple of things to note on here is where it says arrive by 10 a.m. on scheduled Sundays. I know I already mentioned this. I always put in the email that I try to send out by Thursday. Sorry, yesterday's was Friday. To please be here by 10. I bold it. If you can't, just let me know. Lots of grace. If you can't, I totally get it. There are things that come up. It's totally okay. But again, if I'm sitting there, it's 10 and I'm looking around the sanctuary and I see half of my volunteers and I'm like, oh great, like what am I gonna do? And there's kids already rolling in. So if you're gonna be late, that's totally okay, but please just let me know. Okay, another thing on that note, if you are not able, so when the schedule comes out, if you find, oh shoot, I have to change something, that responsibility is supposed to be on you first to find a sub. So I think there's been sometimes people will contact me, which I want you to let me know, but if I have 3 people out in the same week, then it's a lot on me to try to find someone. So if you can, start by, hey, I'm out this week, but I'm going to check with this list of people. That would be awesome. And then if you're having a hard time, of course, I'll help you with that. But yeah.
This is probably in the volunteer guide, but with nursery, do we need, especially as women, do we always need a woman in the nursery for diapers? Okay, if we're canceled, I was like, when John's in there with me, I can't just have Ryan separate for me because.
And same with the littles as well, because now there's only going to be 2 volunteers in there. There definitely always needs to be a female in there.
Okay,
good point.
That's good.
And even up here, I prefer it to not be all guys. Guys, you're great, but it's nice to have a female as well. So, good point.
Oh, my cousin.
Yeah, sorry.
As far as finding our own subs, I found that hard, especially early on, even now, because you don't always know everybody else or have their contact info.
Yes, you do. I hand it out every year.
There we go. Okay.
I do hand it out every year, but I think by December you forget that you have it available.
That's
so
true.
Even if you if you're like,
an email attachment?
Yes, I already sent it out to you guys this morning as well. So, and it's a Google Doc, so as I update it, it will be updated.
Oh, cool.
But yeah, no, that is a good point though, Mike, because I do think, we have this meeting every year, but yeah, by December, January, you forget about some of this stuff. And so, if you are going to be gone, I do want you to let me know, because I don't want to just show up and be like, oh, Mike's not here, but Debbie's here. Okay, what happened there? So you can let me know, and then I can easily be like, hey, if you could check for a sub first, that'd be great. If you need the contact list again, let me know. So I'll pass these around. If anybody wants the paper copy of that, there are 5 of these as well. But again, I sent that out digitally as well. Let's see.
You sent that out this morning.
Yep, I sent it out at 8
there
o'clock
it
this
is.
morning. It was a
there it
scheduled
is.
send.
I love that.
Yeah. All right. I think that's all I had for the first page. Any questions on, again, if you want to, please, if you're brand new, go and read the whole thing. But for most of you, you've seen that before. check-in, we changed it up a lot last year and it seems to be going overall better. So we're gonna keep it pretty similar as last year. For anyone, there are some of you, I don't know if some of you guys help at the check-in table. I don't know. Judy, you do, I know. Just if you're at the kids' check-in table, a note is that if the kid fills up their sticker card, the parent needs to fill out a new card at that table. We don't have the cards at and that's helpful probably for you parents to know too. So yeah, again, it doesn't apply to all of you, but for those of you who it does. Just a couple notes on these things. Name tags. I was talking to Judy, who is our awesome, guys, Judy is amazing. You guys already know this, but she does so much. She's our littles captain, and she has been working so hard getting the nursery ready, helping get the how long did we? An hour and a half setting up that divider in the nursing room on Wednesday.
Yeah,
she's
I'm not sure
amazing. So please, that's okay. I mean, if we had an electronic screwdriver, it would have been a lot faster, but it's fine. Anyways, so Judy came up with the thought. We used to have name tags, especially for the littles, and she said that was really helpful. We've kind of gotten out of that, but especially as we're getting bigger groups. So that is something that we're going to make sure that person that's sitting at the check-in table, it's usually going to be Emily Fish, is going to help them get a name tag as they come in. Now my question for you guys who work with elementary, would you like that to apply to elementary kids as well? Or do you feel, because I'm here, I know pretty much all the kids' names because I'm up here every week, but I know that you're here once a month.
Yes, because I'm here once a month.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
with the different.
We'll work on that, then getting name tags. Okay, perfect. All right.
As a mom of a 3-year-old, I'd probably put it on his back.
Yeah. And I think Emily's aware of that, yeah. But parents can put them on, however they think is best.
Front and back, like.
There you go. Head, shoulders, everywhere.
Although it might
One
not
of them
all
will
match. I mean, knowing
Your
Ben
kids
and
both
Bob.
Bob, exactly.
As long as he answers
The
to
Rock,
all the
whatever.
names.
Okay, so then just another note, parents are whoever is listed on the contact form is supposed to be the one picking the kid up. And again, it's not as big of a deal when we have smaller groups, the parent. Now that we have bigger groups, I really want us to, for a safety thing, stick to that. So Big Brother really shouldn't be coming to pick them up. It really needs to be whatever adult is listed on their card. I didn't name any names.
Likes to do that.
Under supervision, you guys all know this, but it is really important. There always needs to be 2 adults in the room, and that's specifically for littles and the nursery. There should never be just 1 adult. If you need to pop out, use the bathroom or something, you gotta find see if Emily can jump in and cover you. Text me, I can come cover you. We've just gotta make sure there's 2 adults in there. With the elementary kids, it is okay to follow the rule of 3, which just means as long as it's an adult and 2 kids that are over the age of 5, then it's okay. Ideally, though, we would like to have 2 adults. That's always the best case scenario. But if it's a scenario where kids got to go to the bathroom, and there are provisions for that. On the bathroom, like Kelly already mentioned, females should be doing diaper changes. If kids need help in the bathroom at all, littles, the best, you shouldn't be in the bathroom with them. The best would be if the parent can come and help with that. But yeah, there's some provisions in there for if the kid needs help, try to help them with the door, open, just helping right there. You just don't want to be alone with a child in the bathroom. That's wise, and especially males. Sorry guys, but any questions on any of that stuff? All right, next page. Allergies, you guys know where the allergies are located.
On the card.
Yep, so just reminder to check that before you serve snack. It's easy with the kids that you see every week. I think up here we have, 1 kid who has dairy and gluten. That's with the K through 2. I think there might be some with the littles, but they're like fish or peanut butter, which I never get snacks with peanut butter or anything. So, but still, it's important to check that just to make sure. And then for cleaning, if you can see, you can't see it very well from here, but right by the door, there's a little, kind of sticking out. Christy, do you know where the cleaning checklist is? Could you run and grab that right by the door? I believe in you. You can find it.
Yeah, it's right there.
Okay, awesome. Can you bring that here? So this is new because what I was finding, again, we go over this every year at staff training, and then by, of course, December, or people weren't here or whatever, people forget what they're supposed to do for cleaning, which is super understandable. And so someone, I think Dana Tryon in staffing, had the brilliant idea, why don't you make a checklist? I was like, oh yeah, that's probably a smart idea. So, and this is in the littles as well, which I need to make one for the nursery. Totally forgot about that. But just kind of when you're done, if you can make sure these are done, you don't have to physically check them off if you don't want to, but just make sure they're done before you leave, and that helps, you know, that everything was set. Because anything that isn't done, I've got to come in and do later in the week.
So, and all the tools are here.
Yes, yeah, good point. Yeah, so up here in that closet, you'll find spray as well as paper towels and sanitizing wipes. There's brooms in there. That's all you really should need up here. Feel free to have it. Like, I encourage you to have the kids help. Kind of my thing is, like, we're all done with everything. You want to play a game? Well, first we're going to clean the table. You help make the mess, we're going to clean the mess, and then let's play. But just don't have the kids use the chemicals. They can't. With the littles, the checklist is like vacuum, wipe down tables, use the disinfectant spray on toys that you saw them playing with. If you saw a kid like really had something up in their mouth, you know, use a wipe, that'd probably be good. But those are the basics. Yes.
Sorry.
No,
There's
you're
a
good.
big sweeper downstairs now?
There is a vacuum. Yeah, Emily Fish donated a
All right,
little
that's
vacuum
because
down
that
there.
other, yeah.
Yes,
Okay,
no,
good.
that was not any good. Yeah.
Like for Wednesday nights, we, you know, try to vacuum it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. It's down there. Any other questions on that page? And on that note, nursery, I don't have separate cleaning stuff in there, so you'll probably have to share with the littles.
Okay. Is it vacuumed? Do you know?
Is the nursery vacuumed? We did that, yeah, Judy vacuumed. Judy, the wonderful, amazing queen.
I'm still looking from Eva, so
We were hoping to, what do you call that?
Carpet
clean.
Carpet,
Yeah, we
that was
did
the plan for Wednesday, but then
Done
that
that.
provider took forever.
But it was probably a long time.
Yeah, well, eventually
And
we'll
all
get there.
the seats and everything got taken out.
Oh, thanks. Yes, everything has been really cleaned, yeah.
Ready to go.
All right, on the next page here, working with kids, and this is kind of on the note of some of the things that Jody was just talking about downstairs. And kind of what I was saying, now that we're having bigger groups of kids, we don't always have kids that necessarily have the structure at home. Just some things to keep in mind. So if you're up here, you know the whole be safe, be encouraging, be respectful, be show love to God and others, because we do that every single week, and that's part of what Jody said, like hoping that routine, even though like the kids, I know sometimes it probably is like we know this, just having that routine is going to do that every week. So those are the main things with the littles as well. Like that's what we want to focus on, loving God and loving others. There's just some behavior guidelines with babies. You guys who are working with the babies know how to help with babies. Toddlers, usually they just need to be redirected. If a kid is really like throwing things at other kids or whatever, then they may need to take a break. Or if really needed, they could, you could find their parent or contact me so I can, but I don't think that's really happened. Something to watch out with the Littles Room, I have noticed we have had a couple escape artists. So, trying to like make sure you write the kids' names on the board so you always know who's in the room, keep that gate closed, try to have, as much as possible, somebody keep an eye on that gate. It is
do
nice.
know how to open it. A number of them.
We might need to come up with a better one.
Up, so hopefully.
Yeah, exactly.
Peter has opened it for me to come in before.
Thank you. I can't open it, but he can. Great. Yeah, so keep an eye on that. And that is something like, if it happens, let me know, and I would let the parent know too, because that's something that, they can have a conversation with their child about as well. For preschool or especially elementary age kids up here, we have, I wouldn't say we've had any big behavior issues, but we have had some kids that have struggled a little bit more and need a little more support. So if you are a helper, you guys are phenomenal. We need you. Teachers are awesome as well. Helpers, as like, again, we're experiencing maybe a little bit more struggles, that like the teacher needs to be teaching. Helper, it's really on you. It's not just on you. The teacher can help, but if your goal is to try to keep the teacher from not having to stop their teaching kind of thing by providing that support. So I wanted to just put in a little bit more in here and talk about what that looks like, how to step in and help. So you'll see, just some basic steps. Those might not always look perfectly, but it is important to be as consistent as possible. If we're treating one child differently than another, as far as like, oh, that person has been like struggling this whole time and you didn't say anything to them, but I'm having a consequence, that's not fair. And also, it is helpful, even though there's different teachers every week, to try to be as consistent as possible every week. So having some things in place for that. So starting with, a warning if a kid is struggling, and this, I would say this is where usually the behavior is at. It doesn't usually progress that much farther up here. Thankfully, it hasn't happened so far much. But helping a kid, so, it might look like we're going, even at the beginning, going over the rules together, and there's a kid that's antsy, that's talking, that's not, not raising his hand, like shouting out, interrupting. That's a great time. For a teacher might be able to give a warning, but really for that helper to step in. If a kid is struggling, I'll just put you guys on the spot here. If a kid is struggling and like having a hard time with showing self-control, as a helper, what would be a first great thing for you to do?
Just stand near them.
Or I would even say sit next to them. Yeah. Yep. Sit next to them. Be there. Yeah, exactly. Depending on the scenario. How, so many things can get cleared up just by having somebody right there. That proximity, and even kind of like what Jody was saying. Yeah, if they're wanting connection, having an adult right there that can like connect with them can help provide that positive attention, so they're not seeking the negative attention. So that is huge. So if you're a helper, be watching. Is there a kid that's struggling a little bit? Hey, I'm gonna come and sit by you. That's okay. Feel free to have another child move if you need to, so you can go sit by them. That's okay. So I put some other things in here too. Sitting by a child, separating kids who are struggling with each other. Siblings sometimes are like struggling with each other, if that's happening, hey, can you go sit over there? I'm just gonna come sit right here, and you prevent other problems from happening because it never progresses. Fidgets, I did want to talk about those. So, does somebody see Christy, do you see the fidgets over here? You know where they are? This isn't, okay. On the stand there, I'll just go grab them, it's fine. Too far, you're getting colder.
Warmer.
Okay, if you are in this classroom, you need to know where these are. These are the fidgets, they stay here. I have not done a good job of helping our helpers know how to use the fidgets. So here are the rules of fidgets. Fidgets are for your hands, not for your eyes. When your eyes are on them, they become a toy and a distraction. If you need something to do with your hands, then it's understandable to have a fidget, right? If you are a helper and you see you have a kid that is like struggling to focus, maybe they're just struggling with self-control, blurting out, getting up, running around, whatever, a fidget can be a really valuable tool if we present it correctly. If you bring over the whole bag and you're like, here, that becomes toys. So it's you going over, grabbing one, maybe two, because choices are good, and saying just as discreetly as possible. Under one of these during class, which one do you want to use? Because I know Steve would appreciate it, right? And then they can choose one, but again, you're just really quietly, okay, this is for your hands. We're not playing with this. This is just for you to have something to do with your hands, kind of thing. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. And even saying if it becomes a distraction, we will have to put it away. But trying to also keep it discreet, because otherwise, if it's you're making it clear that then everyone in the class wants a fidget and all of a sudden everybody's distracted. So fidgets can be really helpful. They can also be very distracting, so trying to do them correctly. But that is one tool you can use. Please make use of it. And then I providing another helpful option. So with different kids just need different things. Like Judy even was saying downstairs. There's one child that I don't want to use names because we're being recorded and I don't, but there is a kid who he is such a sweetheart. He struggles with self-control. And so just trying to I know that I've had some, times where I'm what can we do so trying to think, how can we help? Because he is such a sweetheart. He's not doing something because he wants to be a bother. He's just showing, expressing himself and whatnot. So been working with him, and one thing that we've been doing, which has seemed to help a little bit, is I just give him a little note card at the beginning, touch base with him before class even starts down when he's in the sanctuary, and he has a goal for how many smiley faces he gets. If he's really struggling, he knows he has to get a sad face kind of a thing, and he seems to be motivated by that. So then when he's up here, he holds on to his card. If there's a helper that can sit by him, that's even better, and can say, oh, awesome job listening, you can get a smiley face. Or if I'm teaching and I can just be like, hey, nice job, get a smiley face. But that kind of goes back to like that system is the more positive attention we give, the less negative attention a child is going to seek. So anytime you can do that, if you have a kid that's really struggling, you know, the other kids might be sitting there doing a great job the whole class, and you want to encourage that as well. But if a kid really usually struggles, then when they're doing a great job, point that out. Oh my gosh, you're doing a great job listening. Even like every minute, if you know, like, hey, nice job, great job raising your hand, whatever. So just on that note, every child might be different, and it's okay to try different things. Allie and I were talking the other week, and she had the idea of having a little notebook of just kind of, you know, if we find something that really works with a specific child, writing that down, having that available. So if that child is there, then rather than having to reinvent the wheel because it's a different teacher every week, you know, if I was teaching last week, Debbie's teaching this week, she can read that and say, oh, this worked really well for so-and-so. So I will plan to get that ready and probably keep it at the check-in table. So then if a kid is struggling at that point, short break. Again, this is where the helper is really key. Taking them to, and I really liked Jody's idea of having like a safe place in the classroom. I think I might work on creating some sort of a space here. For now, I would just say like maybe over back by the table, but that's not even very, it looks very chaotic at the moment. So, but just kind of giving them a safe spot for you to, you know, sit with them for a minute, make sure they understand you know, why they're there. You don't want to ever be like, go sit in the corner. Like that's not helpful. Then half the time they don't even know why they're sitting there. So just, hey, let's take a break. Do you know why we're, you know, after they've calmed down a bit, you know why we're taking a break? Okay, but let's hopefully get back into it. Mm-hmm.
When it comes to taking a break, do we want it to be more of just like, okay, you can have your space, but like sit there and do nothing, or do we give them a fidget or something to like
Sure.
do in that time? I don't know.
Yeah, I would say it would depend on the situation. That's a really good question. So we don't, like, it's not punishment, right? It's a consequence, but it's to try to get them to be ready to participate again. So it's not like you must sit there with nothing to do and you must hate your time there. And, you know, so yeah, if they're like struggling with showing self-control and they just need something to hold on to, that's okay. Yeah. If it becomes like, okay, cool, I'm just gonna have fun doing this, I don't even want to go back there anyways, then that kind of defeats the purpose, you know? So just, I know, I wish there was an easy, like,
I asked because I had one who asked to have space one time, and I was like, cool, and he chose to go in the kitchen corner, but I'm like, I don't like the amount of things you could touch over there.
Sure.
So.
Yep. I would say, yeah, and I do need to come up with a designated space. I would say for now, I would say like back by these doors area. But even like, if you're available, if everyone else is doing fine and you can even sit with the child, that would probably be ideal.
Okay.
Cool. Because it shouldn't be a super long break, but that gives you time to make sure he or she understands like why they're there and, you know, how we can get back into the group. Yeah. So, good question. So again, short break, once they show that they're ready, coming back, jumping in. The next consequence would be if they're really struggling, then maybe they miss out on the activity or some other logical consequence. They're really struggling with the scissors, we gave them another, you know, like we had them take a break, gave them back, they're playing with them again and not being safe. Okay, we're not going to be able to hold on to the scissors. That's a logical consequence, you know, it's not, you lose the scissors because you're being terrible. No, it's, you're not being safe, sorry, we're not going to be able to hold on to this. Same with like, we're playing a game, we're being very hands-on, okay, we took a break. Let's try this again, jumping back in, and they're still continuing. Okay, I'm sorry you're not being safe in this game. We're gonna have to have you sit out of the rest of this game. And then the last consequence would be if the child needs to actually go and sit with the parent in the service because they're really not being safe up here. We've never had that happen. I don't envision this is gonna be a common thing. But I did let parents know that that is a possibility if, you know, a kid is really struggling. So just know that's always an option. Don't ever feel like you're like, man, I gotta make this work for another 45 minutes and like, I don't feel safe and the kids aren't safe. You know, that's always an option. Contact me if you want to, or even just have someone walk that child down. Any questions on any of that? I know I spent kind of a long time on that, sorry. We're almost done, guys.
Is the best way to get a hold of you on a Sunday morning just to text you?
Yeah,
Okay.
and it is. Actually, honestly, if you wanted to call, I'd be more likely to
Okay.
pick up my phone. Yeah, I generally, because I'm in the, when you're in church, it's disrespectful, right, to like pull out your phone and check your text. But I'm trying to remember. Okay, I need to actually, it could be a worker. So yeah, but
Okay,
calling,
so
I would
call
definitely
first.
grab
Okay.
that. Yep.
Cool.
And then on the back, those are just some things, kind of, these are things that, related to some of the things Jody talked about, but just things I picked up along the way with teaching as well that are just helpful for keeping in mind. So very important, you guys know this, physical discipline is not acceptable ever. Like Jody mentioned, relationships are key, and I love that stat that, I don't know, having a positive adult in your life who's not your parent can make a huge difference. And that's why I love that you guys are all here doing what you do, because I think you are making a big difference in kids' lives. So get to know the kids, have fun. Like I said, positive feedback is great. Be as consistent as possible. Yep, a lot of these things I already said. Being calm. I liked what Jody said about knowing your personal triggers. That's something I honestly really struggled with in the classroom my first couple of years, was I would get dysregulated and then I would treat the kids in ways that I'm really would be ashamed of later. So it's really important to know where you're at, and if you're getting to that point, you got to step back and say, hey, Christy's a teacher. Hey, Christy, I need to take a break. Then that's okay. She can give me if she needs to. I'm always available. Okay. Yeah. So again, behavior situations can be great teachable moments. Never lose sight of that. The ultimate goal is not that these kids will be perfect model citizens, but that they would know Jesus. And so use that time. And give yourself lots of grace. None of us are perfect. Sometimes I leave a Sunday morning and I'm like, wow, that was great. But I would say more often I'm like, oh man, I could have done that better. Oh, did those kids get anything? I hope they got something. So, just give yourself lots of grace. God is the one who does the work. So we can rely on that. On that note, I did want to encourage you guys to be praying for our kids. And I wish I had thought of doing this earlier, but I have a list of all the kids, and I try to take a chunk of them each day to pray for. I wish I thought I could give you guys a list if anyone's interested, or you could just note down the kids that are in your classroom. And yeah, I just encourage you to pray for them. We can only do so much. God's the one that works in their lives, and so.
Could you send out a list broken down by their classrooms?
Yes. Yep.
That'd be great.
I can absolutely do that. Yep. I think that's all I did want to finish by praying.